Never before have I had so many requests to test one car, and this is it, the Kia EV6. Everybody wanted to test this one, a full review of this one. It's actually one of my favourite cars on the market today, and you know what? I've driven it 1,000 kilometres to find out all I can know about this car. Welcome to the Next Gear Show. Kia EV6 is called an SUV, but it really doesn't look like one. It looks more like a car from Blade Runner, and in fact I wouldn't be surprised if it could fly itself around as well. Good competition for this car will include the forthcoming Nissan Ariya, Ford Mustang Mach-E and Volkswagen ID.4. Also worth to mention here is the Hyundai Ioniq 5, which is based on the same platform, but in my opinion it doesn't look anywhere near as good. Some tech talk here. It has a 77.4 kilowatt hour battery, giving a claimed range of 504 kilometers in the GT line, or 528 kilometers in the Earth model. It can charge at speeds up to 350 kilowatts, but realistically you'll probably more find 50 kilowatt fast chargers that'll take a little bit over an hour to charge to full from empty. Charging at home can easily be done overnight. There's a handy electric flap on the back of the car to access the port. Hey folks, future editing Bob here. I'm sitting here editing the computer at the moment, and I've just realised that my mic in the car section, the driving section of this, is rustling inside ever so slightly inside my jacket the whole time, and I'm fanatical about sound. I would normally go back out and re-record the whole thing from start to finish, even if that meant scrubbing all of the footage, but the car has already gone back, and I didn't check the footage to see that the mic was absolutely perfect. So apologies, I've tried my best to minimize it through all the audio tools that are possibly available to me, but it's still there in places, especially when I go over speed bumps. It shakes the mic against the jacket, or against the, it's more against the seatbelt than the jacket, but it is in there. I just didn't see it on a day, and unfortunately I do film completely on my own. So I hope it doesn't spoil your enjoyment of the rest of the video. Enjoy what's there. Back to the footage. So there is a couple of versions of this car coming out. This is the GT line, but there is also a thing called the Earth model, which is on the way, which is the more affordable one with a smaller battery in it, but more affordable. So you can see I've done 915 kilometers total range as got the car at an average of 20.9 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, which is on the good side of efficient. I prefer to see under 20 is kind of more efficient, I think. I think that's kind of real good efficiency is under 20. But it's not bad. For the size of the car it is, it's not a bad turnout actually. Quiet in cabin. Yes, it is very quiet in the cabin. It is very nice in here. You do feel body roll. You feel the substantial size of the car when you're driving along. As you cruise along little roads like this, you can feel that the car is a large car. And that's okay, I don't mind that. It's meant to be a sort of an SUV without looking too much like an SUV, because it doesn't look like an SUV, which is quite good. Main competition in my mind is Skoda Enyaq. Range is relatively similar. ID.4 is probably more like the look of it. Would be the same as the Enyaq. So, but Skoda Enyaq I think has it on looks. ID.4 has it on practicality. There is a bit of looks going on there with ID.4 as well, but this car has it on all of those fronts. I think it looks very well. I think it's less polarizing look than the Ioniq 5, which I have driven the Ioniq 5, not presented to me by Hyundai themselves, but I have driven it and it's kind of the same, although I do prefer, there's some lovely bits in here. The 2 USB ports up the front is very good, sat nav is very good, or infotainment system is very good. I do find it a little bit confusing in how you get back out of that screen. Once it goes into Apple CarPlay mode, it kind of stays there. You've got to press this and then nav on the screen here to bring that back up again on you. Then you get at your home buttons and that sort of stuff that's there as well. There's pretty big in and out of those screens. There is a heads-up display on this. It does have highway assistance, so when you're out on a motorway, it will do full automated driving. You still keep your hands on the wheel, but automated driving and distance keeping. It will do that in the back roads, but it just doesn't. It has a different level for motorway driving, which I find a little bit interesting. I don't know why. Volkswagen have claimed by 2025 that we'll be able to drive on motorways without any assistance helping the car at all, without even holding the steering wheel. So I would say Kia and Kia Group, Hyundai with them, won't be far behind that one. Power. So I have 3 drive modes. I have Eco, Normal and Sport. Eco feels like someone has put the brakes on. You put your foot down and it goes. It's not bad, but it does feel like all the energy has been sapped out of the car. Eco also turns off things like air conditioning or the heating system, turns it all down to the least amount of electric consumption it can do. Normal turns everything on to normal, air conditioning's on, heating controls are on, and then Sport just ramps up the amount of horsepower and torque that the engine will throw out, the motors will throw out in the back of it, or motor. So you put your foot down, you get the whole power feeling to it, which you could do that quite a lot. It is a bit of fun, but you will eat electricity in electric cars doing that very regularly. Now the car does do it in normal mode. It does give you plenty of power as well, so you don't have to be in Sport to get the Sport mode. One assistance systems I will talk about is the lane keeping system. You can hear that going beep, 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 beep. I can't find how to turn it off. Everywhere I go, all the little back roads, you know the roads in Ireland I'm talking about here when I say when you're out in a back road and you're driving along and the road is barely big enough to have 2 cars on it, so your wheel will stray over that white line the whole time. Well, that thing is consistently going every time it sees a line, or no lines, just some wet on the road, some fictitious lines, is enough to trigger the thing off. And it's more than annoying, I have to say, that I can't turn it off, particularly on back roads. It's fine on these wider roads here where I'm driving through around Portlaoise. It's all okay here. Speed bumps, I don't feel that speed bump heave that you get from a lot of electric cars. There's one which is over there now. You normally feel a sort of the substantial weight of it on the floor of the cars, which you normally feel, but I don't feel it in this so much. It does feel heavy for sure. It feels like a heavy car. It feels like I'm driving something much heavier than it actually is, and that's because all the weight is on the bottom. There's no engine out the front that's dragging you through a corner, or no engine in the rear, or even a mid-engine car. None of that stuff in this car. It is all under the floor really, with the motors there too. The car seems, now look, it promises, like all these electric cars, to go further than 500 kilometers is achievable, sure, right? Yet when I charge this to 100%, and I've driven this for 1,000 kilometers, and I charge it to 100%, it tells me 380. And I'm an experienced EV driver, so I know how to drive pretty economical in these things. I also know how to drive them pretty hard. But I would say that you're going to lose a good chunk. Now, it's not cold, so before any of the EV owners come running into the chat to go, well, at this time of the year you get thinking now it's cold. It's been 13 degrees yesterday. It's 9 degrees today, so it's not the cold. This is nearly a summer's day. Like, it feels like spring out there. So it's not that. It is definitely down to just the car's trying to predict the way I drive, and it's just not going to get near that 500. And I'm not Bjorn Nyland, so I'm not about to start wandering out around the place for 1,000 kilometers between 2 charge points, because that's his gig, his shtick, to do that, not mine. I prefer to just drive it as a normal car. So, ranking. I could split hairs all day in the difference between this and a Skoda Enyaq or an ID4, because they're my 3 favourite ones. ID4 GTX is a twin motor one, so it's ever so slightly different. There's a little bit more power in that, but like a standard ID4 versus a standard Skoda Enyaq versus a standard, it's hard to say. It's hard to say. Really, it's going to come down to what way you want it to look. If you like the look of SUVs, then the Enyaq's probably your gig. But if you like a car that just looks like a Batmobile, that you wouldn't be surprised if it took off and flew as you're driving along the road, something like Blade Runner's car, this is it. This is the one. Some deadly tech in it as well. This one is, of course, a top spec one. I'll stick a price list up on the screen for you. This is a top spec version of the GT one. It's awesome. I haven't really thought about range. The infrastructure is still a bit ropey in a lot of places. Not looking at any one particular ESP networks. But they're trying to get it right. But really, 50 kilowatt chargers aren't fast enough anymore. You need to have a 100 kilowatt charger for a battery this size just to get a decent boost in the 45 minutes. that you've got before the overstay fee cuts in. To get yourself to 80% of battery from 20%, you need a 100 kilowatt charger to get in and out. Not everyone has all day to sit around, sauntering around the place, waiting to be plugged in at 22 kilowatt chargers. You need 100 kilowatts, and above, preferably. Now, the fastest I've seen is junction 14. I briefly, for a little bit, got 102 or 103 kilowatts out of the newest charger sitting there, and that's it. And I get it, I know to turn it down temporarily, but temporarily it's going on and on and on and on. When is it going to stop being temporary? Just being that's the car that was going to crash until you're leaving the lane, because you're going around the car in front of me. There's a lot of bings and bongs in these cars. But still, I think this is the pinnacle right now of what you can buy electric cars. I think it's very, very good. If you've got one in order, congratulations. If you haven't ordered one, commiserations, because it's going to take a long time for you to be able to get one of these cars on the road, because it's just a super looking thing. Everybody stops and stares to have a look. It's every bit as nice to drive as any of the comparable cars out there. My top 5 cars this year all include at least 4, maybe even all 5 are electric cars this year. Amazing change, really, when you think about how far we've come and how ropey some of the older ones are, that lads thought were brilliant at first, but they're actually sort of ropey old cars. This ain't ropey, and it's rear wheel drive, and it feels like it's going to slide there. Fella's going to go into a little drift there. GTA, here we come. So to sum it all up, range is good, infrastructure is middling, price isn't deadly, they're still a bit expensive, and electric prices are going up as well. I mean, electricity, home electricity, you know, they're all gone up. Energy prices in general have gone up as well. But really, this is as good as it gets. Kia EV6 is number 1 for me, and then Skoda Enyaq and ID4 and a few other ones that are in there too. They're all pretty good. Model Y, I think, is actually pretty good as well. Model Y from Tesla is a Model 3 with a liftback on it. Anyway, that is the sum up of the Kia EV6, the number 1 electric car on the market currently. Thank you very, very much for watching again and subscribing. We're cruising now. We're on the cruise. It's doing very well. We seem to be heading our nice little road towards 80,000 subscribers now, which would be really good to have you aboard. It's been a tough enough journey, and the bigger the channel gets, the more fun it is. It's just become great crack now, you know. Of course, you can find me on all the other social media stuffs out there if you want. You can support the channel as well through PayPal if you want to, or Patreon, or any of those kind of support networks. It'd be really good if you did, because it keeps the channel independent. It allows me to be able to say whatever I want to say about cars, which is the way it is here. And we've been proudly independent on this channel since 2000 and I think it's 9 or 10. No, I think it's earlier, is it? I can't remember. Anyway, it's about 11 years old, I think, this channel. So we have been proudly independent on this channel for over a dozen years now, and I'm very happy with that. So let's try and stay independent if it's at all possible. Thanks for joining in once again, and until the next time, I'll see you on the far side.